NXT released 9 people this week, including 2 referees, but the highest profile name of the bunch, and one of the least shocking, given a lot of the drama around him. I mean, it was shocking only in how long it took to happen, was the Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark. 25 years old and all the potential in the world flushed right down the commode. Less so because of allegations, it sounds like, and maybe more to do with other issues, potentially, said to be related to his attitude and his behavior. We know about the allegations. Allegedly sending indecent photos to minors, DM convos asking them personal questions about their bodies. At the time, he said something to the effect of, he did not communicate improperly with anyone. There was a private photo of his that was shared without his knowledge or consent, and he was working with a third party to look into it. So he never denied that it was him, only how it ended up being shared publicly. There was an audio clip that was shared that sounded an awful lot like him asking what school one of the kids went to. He said he was only taking an interest in them because he wanted them to be successful in life. Just really bizarre stuff. Other people came out around the time of the speaking out stuff, calling him a groomer and a child predator, which are strong accusations to make against somebody. You know, when we're talking about kids, Triple H commented months ago and said everything was investigated internally and there was nothing there. Even though one of the accusers claimed that he was never even contacted, not once, by WWE. But Triple H just got so sick of answering questions on these takeover conference calls, he said he wasn't going to take any more questions about it. Dream was in a car accident many months ago. Triple H said people thought they took him off TV because of the accusations, but it was really just because of the car accident. And there were a lot of questions about the car accident as well. And what happened there? And yet, for all the things that Triple H said, he has not wrestled a match, has Velveteen Dream, since December. Was he in another car accident after that we're not aware of, that would have kept him out of the ring? How do you account for all of this time that he's had in hibernation? Did he think people were just going to forget about all the different rumors around him? That has yet to be explained. But as far as WWE is concerned, like Officer Bar Brady would say, nothing to see here, people. Move along. Nothing to see here, and yet one of the company's biggest prospects now finds himself on the unemployment line. Very likely unemployable by any other promotion. Look at Marty Scurll, case in point. I mean, if you think Dream is just going to pop up somewhere at an indie show in a month or two, I don't think it's going to be that easy for him. But if they ever did bring him to TV, the Thunderdome would have been the best thing for him because back in front of live crowds, he would have been eaten alive. And so maybe that factored into their decision on him. Maybe they really did investigate stuff and they didn't find anything. And they just said, you know what? It doesn't matter because if we put this guy on TV in front of people, this is never going to go away. But I look at it a little bit differently and say that if WWE was worried solely about the allegations with him months ago, if that was the only thing they were worried about, then they would have cut ties with him a long time ago. Why even keep him under contract and keep the questions constantly coming if it was just about the accusations? Then they would have cut ties with this guy months ago. So there were very likely other issues at play here, and I think in due time, if there were, we'll probably find out what they were, because this stuff tends to always leak out. But it's stunning. It's a stunning fall from grace for someone who, John Cena, who for years was the face of WWE, one of the biggest stars in the history of this company. John Cena once called him the One. He was asked from NXT if he could face Adam Cole, Ricochet, or Velveteen Dream. Who would he prefer? It was at like a Comic-Con or something. And he said Velveteen Dream, and he compared it to those Star Wars movies with the Jedi who says, I think that's the one. Cena said he had an odd, mental, and great feeling about Velveteen Dream. Shawn Michaels once said, "There's a couple of guys I'm fortunate that I get to work with because he is so young and has so much natural ability and at such a young age is so comfortable in absolutely every aspect of the job. You just gotta believe that if he were to just grow at the exact same pace as everyone else at this point, being so young and as talented as he is, I just don't see how the expectations for him cannot be bigger than anything that I have ever seen." And that's coming from Shawn Michaels, who has been around the business for over 30 years, and some people would call him the greatest of all time in the ring. It is incredible to think of how high his stock was coming out of that match that he had with Aleister Black 4 years ago, where he finally got Aleister to say his name after the match was over. That was the peak for the Velveteen Dream. And now, it's dream over. What a waste. Referee Drake Wurtz, who had once ascended to the position of head referee in NXT, he was fired this week. He appeared in the ring as recently as Tuesday's NXT show. He was in the ring officiating matches, or at least one match. I just talked about him last week on the podcast, and I said he was treading on very thin ice. And he was treading on thin ice not because he has a certain political belief or whatever. He's entitled to believe whatever the hell he wants to believe. He was treading on thin ice for zooming into school board meetings backstage at the Performance Center, ranting and raving about masks while wearing NXT gear. Because he came off as a representative of NXT. You think that I don't even care if the people in WWE, and there definitely are a lot of people in WWE who hold the same beliefs that he does. Even still, as a company, you don't want this guy doing shit like that on company time, wearing company gear as if he's a representative of your company. And he had also made a lot of enemies behind the scenes with his just bizarre behavior. He was heavily anti-mask and said to be anti-vaccine, which led to a lot of NXT talent not wanting to work with him and have him referee their matches because he refused to be vaccinated. And they're absolutely right to feel that way. If they have to share the same ring with this guy, I mean, look, if that's how he feels, like I said, hey, his decision. But people should not feel forced into working with him and being in close contact with him because that's the nature of the job, right? If you're a referee, you're basically the third man in that ring, or woman. But you're in the ring with these guys. You're up in their face, right? You're right there as much as their opponent is. And if you got two guys in the ring who have been vaxxed and this guy doesn't want to be, you know what? They're right to raise that as an issue and say, look, I don't feel comfortable doing this. I don't want to be in the ring with this guy. He was becoming a very vocal problem. This was inevitable. And he's already changed his Instagram avatar from him in his referee shirt smiling to him holding a giant gun. He's already reaching out to promoters to let them know that he's a free agent. He's available to work. I don't know if that's as a referee or as a wrestler. He used to be a deathmatch wrestler, so maybe he wants to go back and do death matches. Who knows? But again, like I said, this was probably the least shocking of all of these. Other cuts include referee Jake Clemens, Alexander Wolfe of Imperium, Skylar Story, the former Brandy Loren, who had not yet debuted on TV. In fact, she only just signed with WWE in October. And I think hers may have been the most brutal of the bunch when Shotzi Blackheart tweeted that last weekend she helped Brandy move into her brand new apartment. And not even a week later, she had to move out and is leaving Orlando because she got fired. That sucks. Vanessa Bourne is gone. She was moved to the Raw roster many months ago. You would never know it because she never debuted and she was never used. Kavita Devi, who is an import from India, trained by the great Khali, she had a first-round match with Dakota Kai in the first Mae Young Classic a few years ago that has over 62 million views on WWE's YouTube channel. That has got to be the most watched match of Dakota Kai's career. I'm sure it is. But that's the power of the Indian market. Even at the time when the match first went up on their channel, it had 10 or 12 million views at that time. It's like, what the hell? I mean, it completely outperformed every other video they had put up. And I checked, and all these years later, 62 million views on a random, not even very good first round match with two women at the time. Even Dakota Kai, I don't think, was really very well known. Certainly not to the WWE audience she was. And Kavita Devi, nobody knew hardly anything about her. 62 million views. But I guess she had gone home to India to tend to a family matter. There was no indication if or when she would be back. And they weren't doing anything with her, so they cut her. Jessamine Duke, one of the 4 MMA horsewomen. We never did get that match. She seemed to be more interested in streaming and gaming for WWE's Up, Up, Down, Down channel, which does belong to WWE. Xavier Woods clarified that this week. It is not his channel. It is their channel. They just let him use it. But I guess she's done. She's still going to be streaming on Up, Up, Down, Down. But she will not be a wrestler anymore, at least not for them. And Ezra Judge, a former arena football player and bodybuilder. I saw pictures of this guy. He is in incredible shape physically. No idea if he could work a lick because we've never seen him in the ring before, but a report from Fightful said that he nearly came to blows once with Drake Wurtz over some of the things that Drake had said that could be taken as offensive. I don't want to say what they were because I don't have them confirmed. And I guess things nearly got physical, so some people online are hailing him as a hero. Well, he may be a hero, but he and Drake have one thing in common. They're both unemployed. Alexander Wolfe is kind of surprising because he's been involved in a storyline on TV recently. He was just beaten down by Imperium this past Tuesday on NXT. He spoke with the website Sport One and had this to say about his release. I got a call from WWE on Wednesday and was told that my contract was not extended. It was not officially a dismissal because my contract expires on June 15th. From then on, I am no longer a wrestler for World Wrestling Entertainment. The reason I was given was the pandemic line that savings are still necessary due to the global event restrictions. Well, that's better than no reason at all, but ultimately, WWE makes so much money that no firing is really mandatory. But it is what it is. The machine continues to run. The parts are replaced. I see that's the business. I am proud of what I achieved. I know I could have achieved more. But in a league like WWE, you don't have everything in your own hands. You have to control what you can control. I don't think I can blame myself in that regard. And he said that his plan is to move back to Germany rather than stay in the US. But yes, that is the reason they gave most of these folks budget cuts. Instead of just saying, we don't see any real value in you, we'll just blame it on budget cuts. Here's an idea. Maybe don't sign so many people if you don't know what the fuck to do with them.